Do you too sob on watching reels and videos showing strangers doing kind acts? Get your tissues ready. You won't be able to read this story without a tear coming to your eye. This is the tale of a young woman in Argentina who rescued a starving dog left to die on the streets. We're pretty sure that you would be crying till the end of this video. It was nearly Christmas in 2017. On December 23, an Argentine woman named Pia found this pup in dire straits. While visiting friends in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Pia saw the starving dog running around their neighborhood. The dog was clearly terrified and in distress. Pia's friends were unable to catch the frail pup, but Pia refused to give up on the animal in need. When she eventually found him lying next to a house, she said he had no shine in his eyes and he had given up. Thankfully, Pia was ready to fight for him. She immediately brought him to a vet, and that's where the battle began. Stray dogs fighting to survive on the streets are so tough to see. Dogs are lost without someone to love them. Some find a pack of other dogs to run with and have some chance of survival, but it's not easy. In the Argentinian capital of Buenos Aires, there is a problem with stray dogs. All cities have stray dogs, but there is a particularly high number in this city. One of these dogs, the tiny and starving Hercules, was crying for help on the streets. He felt like his life was crushed and no one was ready to help him. But one beautiful woman, named Pia, changed his life completely. Pia was a volunteer at Dog Rescue, the local animal shelter in Buenos Aires, Argentina. She was on her way to visit a friend when she unexpectedly heard about a stray dog that needed help. On her way to her friend's house, Pia overheard two people talking about a stray dog they failed to catch. Pia called her friend and asked to reschedule their plans. She then spoke to the strangers and asked about the dog. Pia went to the location of the dog and spent about 30 minutes looking for him. Eventually, she found the dog lying next to a random house. The dog was in really bad shape. He was very malnourished and he had a skin infection that was causing him to go bald. Luckily, Pia was always ready to help a dog in need. She took out the cage in her car and lured the dog inside of it. Pia immediately took the dog to a vet clinic where he got examined. As much as she would have liked to take the dog home with her, the vet required the dog to stay in the clinic for at least 3 days to monitor his health. In 2 days, the dog lost 2 pounds. He refused to eat anything, but Pia remained hopeful. On the dog's 3rd day at the clinic, he started eating. Pia named the dog Hercules since she knew the dog had a good fighting spirit. After a few days, Hercules was strong enough to stand up and walk. The vet finally decided that Hercules was ready to get fostered. 10 days after Hercules was fostered, Pia noticed that Hercules gained some weight and his hair started to grow back. It didn't take long before Hercules blossomed into a playful dog thanks to his loving foster mom. After a few weeks, Pia knew that Hercules was finally ready to find his forever home. She also realized that she loved Hercules too much to let him go, so she decided to officially be his forever mom. Stay till the end of this video to know more about this incredible story. The veterinarian told Pia they needed to see if Hercules could make it through the weekend. He was in such bad shape that they weren't sure he would survive. Pia dropped everything to help her newfound dog. The first few days were critical, and during that time the skinny boy lost 2 more pounds. Because Hercules was so ill, he was unable to eat in those early days. Pia hand-fed him water from a bowl every 3 hours to make him stay hydrated. Then you might say a Christmas or holiday miracle occurred. 3 days later, on December 26th, the pup was discharged and Pia brought him to foster care. You could see in his eyes that he wanted to live, Pia remembered. Despite that, on a few occasions, she worried that he may die because his condition was so poor. But he continued to fight, and that is why she named him Hercules. When she found him, he was skin and bones and lying on the ground, with no fur and no sparkle in his eyes. The neglected pup was scared and weak. In fact, the dog was skeletal, and he was so malnourished he couldn't stand up. Pia filmed much of their journey. She recalled lifting his body to help him relearn to walk. She remembered crying and fighting alongside him. "We did it together," she said. And in January, after much patience, Hercules began to walk again. Pia admitted she cried like a baby when her darling friend took those first few steps. They were what led to the rest of his recovery. Before Pia knew it, those initial baby steps led to jogging, running, jumping, and playing. Eventually, she was able to take him on walks through the city. By February, it was like Pia had a new dog. Hercules' hair was growing quickly back. He showed signs of life and energy. He loved to be in her arms and held close. The bond between the two was so unbreakable that after fostering him back to good health, Pia knew she couldn't give him up. Hercules found his forever home with Pia. As he began to change, his eyes started to shine, Pia said. "See the incredible recovery for yourself. Hercules is no longer a starving dog left on his own. He is thriving. Pia calls this phenomenal dog her miracle and a Christmas present she'll never forget. Pia took him to the vet but didn't think he would make it through the night. The vet told Pia to wait a couple of days and see how he was. He needed round-the-clock care. It would be a tough journey for both of them. For the next 2 days he couldn't eat and lost even more weight. He couldn't walk because he'd lost the muscle in his legs. Pia was worried and not sure he would survive through the night but stayed with him. He fought for his life and didn't give up. Pia called him Hercules. Although Pia tried to make the poor pup eat some food, he ate nothing in the first few days. He lost a few more pounds and this scared Pia even more. She thought all hope was lost. But then he started to eat and fought so hard to stand up. He wanted to live. He began to fight like a true Herculean and found the strength to carry on. Eventually, he stood up on his own. By February 2018, he looked like a whole new dog, and this is Hercules today. Hardly recognizable from the state he was in when Pia found him, but with love and devotion, he was brought back to life. Even though nobody else cared for the pup, Pia didn't give up or lose hope in him. Thanks to a loving mom, he has got his life back. Hercules Street Park Off-Leash Dog Park, Hamilton is a very new and modern dog park with everything you need for an afternoon out with the family. Plenty of things to do for kids with a huge state-of-the-art playground. It is not a very big dog park, but big enough for a daily run. It is very well lit for nighttime runs, as you can see in the gallery of photos. Most of us keep reading and hearing about staying healthy and living longer through diets and exercise. But do we ever think of living a happy and productive life? If you want to, then adopt a pet. Fostering stray dogs is among the many initiatives being taken up by the youth of the city to make the world a happier place these days. The youngsters who are adopting strays are looking at it as a source of love and affection and a much-needed therapy. Much can be said about a country by the way the people treat their animals. Culture, finances, and lack of education have resulted in thousands of stray dogs in South America. There are several similar moving stories of strangers being kind to these helpless animals. In many parts of Argentina, such an expensive and time-consuming surgery may be more medical attention than the animals humans receive. And so the puppies of the non-spayed mama dogs are abandoned in empty lots, alongside mountain rivers, even in the owner's front yard. One female canine friend of mine officially has a house and a human family, but is expected to find her own food and food for her second litter of 9 puppies. It's a cultural thing, explains Grove. Dogs are not important except when they can be useful, usually as guard dogs. Many people really love their dogs, and whereas in England, dogs tend to mostly live in the house with their owners, here in Argentina, most live outside. It's a question of culture and finances, but it's also a matter of education or lack thereof. There are people even today who, when you talk about sterilization, they don't know what you're talking about, and this is something we think should change.